We've got Sheriff Paul Babeu joining us from Pinal County, Arizona. Sheriff, good evening to you, sir. Thanks for coming on the program.
Absolutely, Cam. Thanks for having me back on.
You bet. Sorry to hear about what was going on last Wednesday with that plane crash up there in the mountains. And I really applaud you and your deputies for getting up there and working so hard to try to help the family out there.
It's our honor, and it's very difficult because of the manner in which the crash occurred. I was supposed to be on with you, and it was an 8 to 12 passenger dual-engine plane crashed into the Superstition Mountains, and all 6 aboard perished during the explosion and resulting fire. And our hearts were broken. Just three young kids, ages 6 to 9, and then 3 adult men. One was the dad of the children, and everybody could understand, especially Thanksgiving, when we're so thankful here in America for our freedoms and our families. And my staff, my deputies, and search and rescue worked throughout the night, all day next day on Thanksgiving, and we've just been embracing the families through this difficult time. So thank you.
You bet. What you talk about, the things that you all have to deal with as first responders and law enforcement officers, I'm sure sometimes there are happy endings and you get to go home with a smile on your face, but a lot of times you're having to deal with things that are very rough. And then you see a story, Sheriff, that I have to think just makes you angry. And I'm talking about the latest from Jerry Sieper, of the Washington Times, who had a look at this indictment in the murder of Border Patrol agent Brian Terry before it was sealed. And apparently, according to this indictment, the U.S. government is saying that the 5 illegal immigrants who were responsible for engaging the Border Patrol in a firefight that night were patrolling the area around Peck Canyon with the intent to, quote, intentionally and forcibly assault Border Patrol agents. Armed with Fast and Furious guns, these cartel members were out there looking for a fight with our first responders.
It's disgusting is the first word and thought that comes to my mind because of the inaction of our federal government. When you see Eric Holder, our president, who are so quick to apologize for America to even our enemies, and it's how have we arrived at this point in our country that the leaders of our country, who should be so proud of America and talk about our virtues and our proud history as freedom fighters and liberators, that we've got to this point where we apologize and blame America first, and then we have armed the very people that we're fighting, and we have, for all intents and purposes, really relinquished full control of certain parts of our own country, to the point where we have allowed, with full knowledge and therefore endorsement, the fact that these most violent criminals on our American soil and with their terrorist acts, that they're out there with guns that our ATF, that Department of Justice, that is responsible to who? Eric Holder. Mm-hmm. And they don't want any of it. They don't want to take responsibility for things that they have done that have resulted in the murder of our hero, Border Patrol agent Brian Terry, who also served as my brother in law enforcement. He also served our country since he was 18 years old as a United States Marine. And 22 years of service wearing the uniform of our country. And who speaks for him? Who stands up for his rights and the fact that he's the defender or protector of our country and our Constitution? And these people run for cover. Not the bad guys, Eric Holder, Obama, none of them having the honor of their office to accept responsibility because they're in charge, but then have the audacity, not of hope, the audacity to say on national TV that, well, let's be careful here. We can't necessarily connect what Fast and Furious to the murder of this agent. Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you something. 2 guns that were found on the scene that murdered Agent Brian Terry were facilitated into the hands of these criminals and were found on that crime scene. That's what, in law enforcement, we call evidence.
Yeah, and it's pretty striking evidence as well, Sheriff. Now I've got to ask: have you or your deputies run into this there in Pinal County, where the cartel members aren't just? I mean, I know we've talked before, and you've talked about the cartel scouts claiming the high ground, monitoring what the deputies are doing there in Pinal County, following them via binoculars. Have your deputies been targeted for attack by these cartel members?
Well, there's constant surveillance, and what's interesting, I want to speak to 2 points. One
Sure.
that you bring up, the SAC, Special Agent in Charge of ICE for Arizona. So this is a guy who is a good man, but he works for Miss Janet Napolitano. And he was asked a question after we arrested 76 key figures in the Sinaloa cartel, confiscated 108 weapons. 2 of them were from Fast and Furious. So enough of this nonsense that these guns aren't coming back into America. They're being not just smuggled into Mexico. Now they're being used by these criminals, brought back into the United States, being used against us, being used in the commission of serious felonies throughout my state. And who's going to answer to this? And so not just that, but this SAC, a reporter asked the Special Agent in Charge, Matt Allen, that, sir, with all of these things that have been done, all these key figures arrested, and these cartels warring over territory, even in the United States, who now controls the western portion of Pinal County? And I wasn't at the podium until a minute later when I was outraged by his statement, but he said, well, that's to be seen. I was disgusted the fact that the leader of ICE for our state, even though I've been friends with this man, and he's a great man, but the fact that he would say it's to be seen who controls this area, part of America, 70 miles deep into the heart of Arizona. I got up there and I said that I was shocked to hear that from a leader in our government to say that. And I said, you know who controls this area? It's like, this is Pinal County, and I'm the sheriff of this county. And I want to tell these cartels that they're not going to bring their violence, their trash, their drugs to my county unabated, that we're going to stop you. We're going to arrest you. We're going to take your drugs and put you in jail. It makes me livid, the fact that we have somehow allowed or resigned ourselves to this being our state currently in our future. I will not. This is America, and we've got to stand up for America and put America interests and our citizens first for once.
Absolutely. Hey, Sheriff, always appreciate getting a chance to talk with you, sir, and I look forward to doing this again very soon.
You got it, my friend. Thank you, Cam.
All right. Sheriff Paul Babeu joined us from Pinal County, Arizona.